What's up, MetaNerdz? This video is all about a rare type of ship, a space station flagship. The Star Home is a castle complex that sits atop a star carrier/destroyer. Developed by the remote but technologically advanced people of the Hapes cluster, the Star Home was the flagship of the Hapen Queen Mothers. There's a lot going on here, so let's just start with its overall size. With a diameter of 2,500 meters or 1.55 miles, it was more than 1.5 Imperial 1 class Star Destroyers across. For reference, if it were to land here on Earth, it would stretch from the White House to the Capitol building. At 1,250 meters or 0.77 miles from base to Castle Spire, it would be more than twice the height of the Burj Khalifa, or nearly 3 times the Empire State Building. Now all of that is protected by your standard deflector shield generator like you would find on Star Destroyers, but it also had a molecular shield generator that helped to increase the bonds of all the material that went into its hull. The majority of this ship hull was actually basalt, a type of rock formed by lava, and which symbolized the royal family. This might not be the most practical construction material, but it certainly made a statement, and as long as the molecular shields were keeping everything rigid, then it would work just fine. Each of these legs housed enormous tractor beam projectors that could push or pull against a surface independently in order to ensure a perfect landing. This of course could also be used to pull friendly ships into positions, or rip ships apart by pulling large capital ships in 5 different directions. This underside is where its 4 hyperdrive engines were located, which combined to a rating of a Class 1 hyperdrive. That's faster than the ISD, and tied with the Venator, and even some of the most nimble starfighters. But also keep in mind that it may be much faster than this, as each of its 4 hyperdrives is equal to the one found in the Victory-class Star Destroyer. Its sublight speed is unknown, but generated from a ring of 24 thrusters that encircled the royal complex. Each could fire independently, and like the tractor beams, helped to make this ship surprisingly maneuverable. To protect all that, the Queen had a complement of 60 Mytil starfighters, 20 turbo lasers, and 20 laser cannons. Those fighters were very advanced with TIE fighter speeds and X-Wing firepower and durability. And though not as much overall firepower, it had more turbo lasers than the Venator, and with the laser cannons and fighters to take out opposing starfighters, this floating fortress could stand its own in a fight. To run it all, there was a crew of 740, including 500 engineers, 90 starfighter pilots, 50 command staff, and 100 guards for the royal family. Speaking of which, that massive castle complex had apartments for 600 nobles and their retainers, and a total guest capacity of 2,000. On board, there were enough supplies to feed all these people for 5 standard years, and the cargo capacity was 7,000 tons, a weight equal to 8,750 dubaks, which is just enough for a royal party. But as badass as the scene of a conquering queen sitting at the end of a long table chomping down on a dubak drumstick as she viewed enormous space battles through the castle viewport is a bit over-romanticized. It was not intended to be involved in full-scale space battles. All these shields and weapons were so that it could survive a battle and escape into hyperspace so that the royalty could live to rule another day. And this strategy worked pretty damn well, given that it lasted over 4,000 years. Built just after the Mandalorian Wars, so sometime around 3,960 BBY, it was built as an exact replica of the Fountain Palace on Hapes, the capital of the Hapes Consortium. The palace structure was carved out from the surrounding basalt, so when the Queen made her space station palace, it too would be made from the same material. Hollowing out the legs and main body of this ship was an incredible feat of engineering. Every one of the consortium's 63 worlds dedicated labor, materials, and machines to complete the effort, and then once it was finished, each of these worlds also sent over treasures and artifacts that were stored in the royal vault. These would be brought out on display in front of dignitaries, and all combined to be a stunning display of the Queen Mother's rule. This ship was an engineering marvel that most of the galaxy didn't even know about, since the transitory mists almost completely cut off the Hapes cluster. But of course, some smugglers and adventurers stumbled in and out of this area, spreading wild stories of a space station that was carved out of a mountain. These accounts were always dismissed, until Queen Ta'achum tracked down her missing son, Prince Isildur. Once she took the castle ship past the transitory mists and into the galaxy at large, she figured the seal had been broken and they might as well introduce themselves to the New Republic. In 8 ABY, one of the galaxy's most unique ships entered space above Coruscant, a sight that was alien even for the diverse species of the galactic capital. The final fate of this ship, and whether it survives on to this day, is still unknown. So that's it for its history, but you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind the scenes stuff. There is a bit of in-universe mystery surrounding this ship. Some that have studied this Hapes space station claim that it may very well be the original Palace. It is believed that the castle complex may separate into a detachable unit that would link up with the massive legs. Accounts of just the castle itself appearing on different worlds would seem to back this, but either way, the fact that the Queen's castle was so mobile and stunning incited jealousy in leaders across the galaxy. This ship first appeared in the book The Courtship of Princess Leia, but was expanded upon in the Essential Guide to Characters and Vehicles and Vessels, the Star Wars Encyclopedia, Kraken's Threat Dossier, and Ladies First, which often have conflicting stats on this ship. It has also appeared in several Star Wars themed mods, which include a lot of other cool Hapes ships. But that's it for the Star Home. If you want to connect with us, help support this channel, or get your own copies of the reference material used to make this video, be sure to check out the links in the description. Special shout out to our supporters over on Patreon, but most important of all, remember, that's no mountain, and the Force will be with you, always.